if the idea of redoing all the Universal monsters wasn't probably tanked before, it probably is definitely tanked now, as Universal brings to us the collector's edition of the new Wolfman movie made by Leigh Whannell, who was one of the creative people behind Saw with James Wan. He also directed the original, well, not the original, but he directed the first modern take of these Universal monsters with the Invisible Man, which I thought was okay. When I made my letterbox review for this, and I said, you know, for all things holy, pretty much keep him away from the Universal monsters. I didn't realize at the time, or I had forgot that he did the Invisible Man, which was okay, but it wasn't. It wasn't like, I don't think, a modern day classic or anything. Wolfman, he completely he threw deep down the field, and he completely missed his receiver on this, because while I do, you know, think it's good to sometimes try something different and not necessarily go right by the book, I think you could have modernized this a little more without going the route that he went on this. One thing particularly I'm going to say up front is I do not like the way the Wolfman looks. I think you should have kept that a little bit more traditional. I don't think they look like wolf people at all, the people that are wolfmen in this. I believe that you could compare it more to, they basically look like the woman from The Taking of Deborah Logan when they're in their transformation period. And so we'll just get to the plot here. So basically our main character, we get a little bit of a backstory of him and his dad. And his dad's like got an army background. He's real rough on him, real strict. But there's something in the woods where they live. And the dad is kind of being very coy about what it is. Fast forward a few years later, and the guy's grown up now. He's got his own family. His dad's been missing. He's presumed dead. So he goes back to the house in the woods to basically visit the, what's left. And that's basically the plot, because when he gets there, you realize that his dad is missing for a reason, and there's definitely something going on in the woods, if you catch my drift. So then it becomes this mellow, dramatic thing where, basically the family's avoiding the wolf man, but there's more to it. But I don't want to go into it too much because I don't want to spoil it in case you haven't watched it and you do want to watch it. But he's basically, it's him, with this wolf situation, his wife and his daughter. And there's like inner things going on, because the daughter is definitely more of a daddy's girl than she is for the mom. And I believe that's kind of a thing that annoys the mother, as you can tell as the movie goes along. And they don't seem to be very perfect. The relationship seems to have some problems, but as they go to the woods here, things get a whole lot worse. And there's some twists and turns along the way that I'm not going to spoil here. But I will say the Wolfman tries its best to modernize things, tries its best to make things a little bit different, but the end result is not that good. So I give it a 2 out of 5. There's your bonus features: Unleashing the New Monster, Designing Wolfman, Hands-on Horror, Nightmare and Soundscapes, feature commentary with the director, which is also on the Fandango at Home version. If you redeem the code, that will not be in this when I remove this slip, because I've already redeemed it. That's what you get when you take that off. And pretty basic disc. There is a 4K version. I was not sent the 4K version, and you know what? That's okay, because while I'm sure it looks better, it won't make the movie any better. And this thing, I'd heard bad things. I've heard a few people say they liked it, but I'd really like to know, if you do like it, what it is about this movie that makes you like it, because I just was, I don't know, I don't want to say I was bored, but I just didn't like it. And it didn't feel like the Wolfman to me at all. It didn't feel like, these people don't feel like werewolves in this movie. And that's not good when your movie is the Wolfman, for crying out loud. I don't really remember much about the old Benicio del Toro Wolfman movie, although I still have that movie. But I feel like, unless we're talking about like American Werewolf in London and all those type of movies, that the actual Wolfman franchise itself has never really seemed to reach the pinnacle that it did back in the old days. But hey, maybe they'll make another stab at this again someday. I don't see this one getting a sequel. I don't see a Universal Monsterverse with this Wolfman and the Invisible Man that we've already seen, or anything of that nature. But it's different, but it's not a good different.